Welcome back to Tech Insights with Dylan White. Hopefully, you guys have had a good week so far. It's Wednesday, it's hump day. It's day 16 of our 100 days of just consistent content posting. Today, I want to dive into some thoughts and feedback on things that I've gone through. Usually, we do a weekend review on Friday. Just want to add this as one and then talk through Microsoft Sentinel. We talked about it on Monday with a cute little poem that I worked with my oldest daughter on, and then just talk about what Microsoft Sentinel is, why so many companies are starting to use it, adopt it, and then obviously what position it feels in cybersecurity. Right, for those of you that don't know what Microsoft Sentinel is, it is a considered a next gen SIM, right? So security information event monitoring tool, and SOAR, security orchestration automation response tool. Right, so it's a combination. Uh, Lots of the new, we'll call them platform vendors out there, are either creating tools, right, that are SIM and SOAR combinations, or they're buying tools, right? So Cisco bought Splunk. So lots of them doing kind of very similar things. So we'll talk to Microsoft Sentinel and we'll just dive in a bit. So a little bit about things that have gone on. We talked a bit about Men's Mental Health Month, all the things that go in with that. But one thing that we don't dive into often enough, I think, is just humans. Um, and I got challenged on this really early on with some leadership, which is I think it's very easy to be a pessimist in society. Right? It's very easy to be negative all the time. It's very easy to let yourself be engulfed in the doom and gloom. Obviously, today's society of systemic scrolling and doom scrolling, as it's called, does not help that, right? Especially what's going on in the world, right? It's good to be informed, but if it's not in your, in your house, if it's not in your neighborhood, if it's not in your city, if it's not in your state, what can you do to keep a positive mindset as the world around you gets impacted, right? So just making sure that you keep positive spirits and stay in the, I call it the realm of reality. I'm trying to challenge myself more on that. Instead of looking at glasses as half empty, look at glasses as they're half full, right? Life can always hit you right. The stomach, it can hit you, in the proverbials. But how do you take that, right? Are you going to lay on the mat and let it sink you down and sink you further? Are you going to get up and say it's just another challenge that you're going to hit head on? That's something that I personally have been challenged by. I think over the last, we'll call it decade and a half, I ride these consistent, highs, right? Very high. But then I allow myself to sit on that mat for too long. And we've seen that with other consistency challenges. Right. Sometimes you just gotta get out here and just say some stuff, right? It is what it is. Make a post, make a funny poem, right? Just it makes it a little bit more fun, a little bit more light, bring some light into the day. So with that being said, every day I'm trying to remind myself, right? Where's my cup today? Right? Talk to my wife about, hey, my cup might be 80%. Maybe I have 12 meetings today. Right? Hey, with the kids, I need you to give me 140%. I'm gonna give you 60, but I'll make sure dinner's ready. I'm sure certain things are done. Right? So cup is more than full, right? There's certain things where it takes certain times where you could give. So making sure that you can just communicate effectively is super important. And I want to aim to get the better of that every single day. So with that being said, one ask I have, and I'll post this on the LinkedIn side, is how can do you, right, challenge yourself to stay positive even when outlying negatives are there, right? Whether that's your personal life, whether that's professionally, right? So, right, personal affecting professional or professional impacting personal. It's really hard, right? Especially in today's society, to keep them separate. How do you do it? I'd love to get your insight, love to get your comments, and get some feedback. I think it'd be incredible. So, with all that being said, again, for me, embracing positivity and trying to go forth with that cup is very much full mentality is where I'm going to go. So, thank you for letting me just talk your ear off for a quick 3 or 4 minutes about that. Now let's dive into Microsoft Sentinel. And let's talk about it, right? One thing I want to do is we talk about tools and then get into showing tools and going and showing why we use tools and how they're used in training, right? I'm gonna have a whole series on training on Microsoft Sentinel. That's not what this is. I want that, like this challenge and kind of consistency. We get down into the very weeds of technical. Remember, I said we'll probably dive into 20-minute videos. Again, that's not what this is. Um, Microsoft Sentinel, talked about it for very briefly at the beginning, is a SIM and SOAR tool. What that means is it is a security information and event monitoring tool, right? that organizations use to track, audit, and record certain security events or telemetry. Right, we bring log sources in. Right, so I had, of course, the AI assistants walk through, explaining. I saw one post. I wish I would have taken a snapshot of it on Twitter the other week around somebody that built a really good diagram of security tools as if they're parts of the human body. I'm gonna go find that. I think hopefully I bookmarked it, but we'll walk through that. But in the meantime, right, so the way um, I would explain it, right, and the fact that from a sim perspective, right, the sim serves as your brain, right? It's as overall SOC, right? It's got central functions, right? It's unifying all your body parts. Without a brain, you cannot function. Just simple, right? You have eyes, you can have all these things that are still triggering during something such as rigor mortis, but without the brain function and brain operational capabilities, you're vegetable. Just the reality of life. The socket SIM is no different. SIM is so important in security operations. If you're not grabbing those alerts, if you're not grabbing those logs, and it's not actually functioning, right? You can have it connected, but if it's not actually bringing that telemetry in, is it even any good? So what you'll see is that organizations will deploy SIM tools, right? And then they'll start bringing in data, right? Because again, SIM tool is only good as information, right? That's the first one. Information and events that you're monitoring into the tool. See where we're going? So as we bring those in, right, with the data, the connector, and it brings us analytics and alerts, right? That the data is, then we can create certain queries that brings us all kinds of off that telemetry, right? And the data connectors, like the eyes, right? So we see something, right? We see something. Do we have something built in to recognize the color, right? Such as, hey, this is a network, right? This is my network event. I need to make sure, do I have any network things, right? And it's going and doing something else, right? Which is soar, which is your arms. I'm actioning, right? Your legs. Right? I'm taking an action on behalf of the brain, right? On behalf of the sac. I'm taking an action going to do something, right? So, that being said, hopefully, right, it explains a little bit more about what a sim tool is. I'm going to put a video into this one, right, where I'll drop down a link from Microsoft Mechanics around what is Microsoft Sentinel, what is Unified Security Operations, and that's where we take Microsoft Sentinel as a SIM tool, right, from the SOC. We connect it in with an XDR, Extended Detection Response tools, and other security tooling to bring us a unified security operations platform. That's the goal. When we talk about platformization, that's what people are trying to build. You have Microsoft building one, Palo, Crouch, all these other companies doing the very same thing, right? So Microsoft Sentinel, again, is Microsoft's next generation SIM and SOAR tool that is backed by billions of telemetry events a day, right? So whether it's home use, whether it's organizational use, they bring those telemetry events and they can scan, they can categorize them and see what's going on. Now they don't share what actually happened, right? But they're sharing, hey, this technique, this tool is used in this way, right? So it's adding all these detections into its brain. Very cool stuff. Watch the video, you'll love it. Way more technical than I'm gonna get into in the next 100 days at least. Probably see some stuff throughout here, little sniffles, little tidbits. But in the meantime, as always, thank you guys for tuning in. Let's keep our glasses full. So make sure we're not overflowing though. No one to raise your flag and no one to go touch grass. Until next time,